Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. We do also podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educators spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, checking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. Reaching out to my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Sala Falava and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. Today is a very special show because we have three writers, each of them bringing to the space life experiences as well as a wealth of cultural, creative, and educational knowledge. When it comes to advocating for Pacific Island writers, content creators, and publishing professionals, they are out there doing the mahi, doing the hard yards, networking, highlighting Pacific Island books, and building community to amplify the voices of our people. It is my honor to welcome to the show Manuia, Keala, and Kealani, co-founders of Pacific Islanders in Publishing. Woohoo! Welcome. It's great to have you here. Hi. How's everyone?
Doing well.
Doing well. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, I know I'm trying to not be a fangirl and let's do this, be professional, but I can't help it. And of course, Kealani's coming back to the show. Always exciting to have you here, sis. It's so good to see you all. So I like to ask guests to give a brief intro. So I'll give you an opportunity just for each of you to briefly introduce yourselves. Go ahead. Any order.
I can go first. So I'm Kealani Netane. I am a writer and an author. I have a book coming out in May, Tala Learns to Siva, and I'm one of the co-founders of Pacific Islanders in Publishing. I'm Samoan. My dad is Samoan from Upolu and Savaii, and I'm also Hawaiian. My mom is Hawaiian. She's from many of the islands, mainly Kauai, Oahu, Maui, and Hawaii Island.
Yaurana oi o Manuia wau e te ata Maui au and mai tai no te whare ya oi and Maurururoa for having us, like I said. So I'm a Maui writer and researcher. I'm currently based in Aotearoa and I'm the co-founder of I'm a co-founder of Pacific Islander in Publishing.
I'm Kendall, and I am a writer and one of the co-founders of Pacific Islanders in Publishing. I'm newly represented by Jennifer March Soloway of Andrea Brown Literary Agency, and I have an unannounced book I can't talk about. That's all I'll say. Thank you for having us. And I'm from Molokai in Oahu, my family is, and I'm Native Hawaiian.
Thank you to each of you for your introductions. That was great. How do you all know each other?
It's funny you joked about your hair because now my bangs are irritating me. I was like, what is she talking about? Her hair doesn't look good. Anyways, we know each other from social media. There aren't too many Pacific Islander writers, especially, those of us who are interested in traditional publishing. And once you connect with one person, it's easy to find other people. Like, we're very connected. And we actually haven't met in person. Kealani and I just met in person in August or September of last year for the first time. But we've known each other for 2 years now. So...
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask, have you all met each other? I feel like you all go way back.
Oh. Yeah, I think I met Kealani and Keala before that, probably 3 years. But since I'm in Aotearoa, I haven't met them yet in person. Definitely this year then. Yeah. this year.
Hopefully.
I love that. Manifest that. And yes, I can't wait to see the photos. Wink, wink. Okay. So, Manuia, being in Aotearoa, have you met a lot of Pacific Island writers, or just
Yeah.
online?
I have met a few authors, Maori authors. I know some of them personally through academia, but I went to literary events and I met them and I was fangirling, really hard.
Exciting.
That's really cool to be able to meet authors you enjoy reading about, and you enjoy their books, and then you meet them in person, and it's so nice.
Oh, yeah, I think through Kealani, this is how I've come across many of you, is through Kealani, through her page. Just I can't even remember when we started following each other, but that's how I've come across, like, especially in that part of the world, like America, like outside of Aotearoa, Australia is what I mean. So, and Samoa. So it's been really cool that even though we have not really all met in person, but just to be able to like connect online. So, anyways, it's fantastic. Manifest it. I know you will meet this year. What books are you reading? Are any of you reading a particular book at the moment?
For me, I just finished a romance novel called A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, and it was so good. I loved it. It was very heartbreaking, so only read it if you're ready to have your heart broken. And then but right now I'm reading a book called Aloha Betrayed by Noe Silva. It's about the ways that Kanaka Maoli have resisted colonization in Hawaii. And then I'm reading a middle grade novel called The Night Diary, which takes place during the partition of India in 1947. So I'm really into historical novels right now. And I do read like usually 3 books at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, Manuia and Keala, are you reading a book at the moment, or?
I'm reading Turncoat by T.H.M. Baker, and it's actually so good. So I recommend it. It's a satirical science fiction set in a distant future, where Earth has been colonized by aliens, and humans are now a minority. So if you pay attention, it echoes Maori. The situation of Maori people now, and it's about Maori people working in the public sector. And I enjoy this book so much because although it deals with a very serious topic like the respect or constant breaches of Te Tiriti o Waitangi, it's actually full of humor. It's so funny. I didn't expect that, and I don't usually read science fiction novels, but this one is, awesome.
Nice. Go ahead, Keala.
So I'm reading The Spirit Bears Its Teeth. They're all library books. The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White, and it's a gothic horror novel. I'm not far enough in to give such a detailed summary of it, but I've seen it. I think it recently won the award, the Stonewall, or one of Andrew's books did. And so I've been putting it at the top. And then I am also reading Lay in the Fire Goddess by Malia Mauna Kea. I'm kind of a bad book reader. If something's really good, I tend to like savor it, and then I'll go quickly through the book. So I'm like, oh, this is all right, but I like it, but like I've been reading the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin for like 5 years now because I haven't. I keep opening it. And I'm like, oh, this is so good, and I just pour over it. So that's why this has been on my since it came out. It's been on. I've been the one renewing this at my library for months. Anyway.
Oh no, you're that guy, Keala.
I know.
Oh,
Someone
you're
watching
that guy at
this
the
is like,
public
that's
library.
where the book is. Someone's watching this in my community. Like, that's why I can't get that book.
For each of you, what is a book that hasn't been written that you would like to write?
I mean, one day I want to write a middle grade novel. I've been working on, I have like 3 or 4 that I've been working on that I've just never finished. So hopefully one day I can finish one.
I think I want to see young adult and more middle grade books by French Polynesians, because really there are not that many. I can't even name a young adult book written by a Maori. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Before Keala jumps in, Manuia, on that, would you be more inclined to write it in French or and like for something? Is that kind of like? Do you think about that writing in English as opposed or having a dual translation, kind of like?
Not at all. I cannot write in French. The words.com. They just don't, because I think in English often and I read in English. I think I would write so badly in French. I don't even think about it.
You would
Okay.
write better than me in French.
Thank you. Go ahead, Keala.
I don't know if I would write this. I'm really interested in Pacifica futurism, though, and I would love to see a space exploration novel written by a Pacifica person, especially because of our history with voyaging. I just think that could bring such a unique perspective to it, and like, especially not going towards a colonizing sort of take on space, more like, oh, what's out there, and then finding like different planets. And I just think that could be really cool. I'm vibes right now about it. It doesn't have to have a plot. I just want to see it.
I get that. A book written by Pacific Islander that you would like to see turned into a movie or a Netflix series.
Well, personally, I would love to see Chantal Spitz's Island of Shattered Dreams turned into a movie. I think it would make a really powerful movie, probably because the book itself is already so impactful.
That's a really good choice. And for all our filmmakers that have been on the show, hint, hint, we're going to manifest and we're going to plant some seeds right there, and hopefully, you never know. Go ahead, Kealani or Keala.
I've always wanted Telesa ever since. I mean, I know Lani Young has been also wanting it too, but that's just always been the book of my heart ever since I read it.
Yeah, I think it would be a great series, like TV series.
I know this might seem like such an easy answer, but we recently read Every Drop is in the Man's Nightmare, and it's a collection of short stories. And I just think some sort of anthology, like a short series, like limited time series with each short story would be really cool, personally. And then like focused on different like folklore from Hawaii. And so like kind of a Black Mirror type of thing. That's how I picture it, but grounded in fantasy instead.
I love that. Great idea. We're manifesting filmmakers. We know we've had a few on the show. Let's make this happen. Pacific Islanders and publishing. I know it's still. I mean, yes, you haven't been around long, but what I want to really emphasize to people is the fact that the three of you, you've been out there advocating for this. Like, yes, you are a team now, but even before this came about, like, you were out there doing the work. Manuia in education, doing her thing, getting her doctorate. Whoop, whoop. Kealani through Bookstagram. And then Keala, you've been writing, doing your thing. So I just want people to know that now that you've come together as a team, and we have Pacific Islanders in publishing. So I don't know which one of you are going to do it, but let's talk about Pacific Islanders in publishing.
We are a new organization, and our mission is to amplify and support cultures and people across all regions of Oceania, Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia in publishing, and providing a database of authors, illustrators, editors, influencers, and other publishing professionals. Make all these beautiful people and beautiful books available for everyone to see online. Easier to find.
I wanted to go back to, you mentioned the database. Like, people listening, fam, if you're listening, if you're watching this, I don't think you understand. Like database, it's not just like there's like this little Google sheet. I mean, like I remember seeing what you all put together like last year. I think it was AAPI month, maybe I can't remember, but it's an extensive list of authors. I mean, who was responsible for putting that list together, or are the three of you just constantly like adding to the database, adding as you come across things? Like, because it looked like a lot of work went into that.
Yeah, it did. It was all three of us. Manuia and Kealani handled a lot of the finding the authors and their books and gathering all the information. I did the web development, so if there's anything tricky with the web, it's my fault. I learned a lot. It looks like graphic design is my passion, and I'm working on it. But yeah.
No, the website, fantastic. It's very user friendly. I'm that person where as soon as I come across someone's website, I have to go in and I'm like, is it easy for me to like move around the website, get information? And yeah, the website's looking great, by the way. So keep it up. Good work. Yeah, like sorry, Kealani, did you want to say something about the database or?
Yeah, I mean, it took us a long time. I can't even remember how long it took us. Maybe it could have been a year, it could have been 6 months. I'm not really sure. But to be able to find all of the recently released published authors. So we are focusing on the last 10 years, anybody who has published in the last 10 years, because it's for publishing industry professionals to be able to look at our website and see who they can contact in case they're looking for that specific representation for their company.
That's really interesting. I didn't even think of it like that, like in terms of the publishers, like being able to access, like I'm just like, wow, database of books and authors. I'm excited, but the other professional side with the publishing, like that's a really, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Some people don't realize, but the publishing industry is really interested in our stories, and they're having a hard time finding the people to write these stories. So then they end up asking people who aren't of Pacific Islander descent to write the stories, and we really don't want that. We'd rather have people who are of that specific ethnicity to write the stories. So that was one reason why we wanted to create this database.
Thank you for sharing that. It made me think about when I'm looking through New Zealand websites and looking for picture books, for example, written by Pacific Islanders, but they're mostly, I mean, a lot of them are written by authors that have been around for years, but they're not Pacific Islanders. Like I do that Google search, Maori, part Maori, Pacific, and no hits. And then I realized, so they've gotten like well-known names, and they're the ones that are writing and getting the funding, which is, it's troubling or worrisome, maybe.
I have an experience like that when I have a friend of mine, Kealani, who had a baby, and I just wanted to find a book by a Pacific Islander for as a gift, and I went in so many bookshops in Wellington trying to find a picture book by Pacific Islander, and I really struggled to find one, and I was like, this isn't right, because we have so many authors publishing. We have many Pacific Islander authors doing the work, publishing, writing. Why is it so difficult to find their books in bookshops? So yes, this website is also about visibility, showing people that we are here, that we are writing our stories. Yes.
What, I mean, Keala mentioned about, doing the web design, and I was just wondering, like, for each of you, like, what are the different roles you are currently playing now that we've got the website up, now that you're live as a team, as a collective?
So we kind of, it's day by day. That sounds possibly not a plan. That's probably doesn't sound like a plan for long-term success, but right now it's day by day. We actually had very excited. A lot of people wanted to work with us when we announced. And so we've been very busy doing collaborations with other organizations. But for the most part, Manuia and Kealani are very good at finding books and new authors to feature on the website. I handle a lot of the email, maybe. And catching up with people who've reached out to us, like Peak Reads. I was connected with Peak Reads. I live in Los Angeles. And so I knew Dana and Crit from their events out here. And so when they reached out, I kind of handled the communication for that before bringing it to the whole group. But like, yeah, it's kind of day by day. It really depends. Like, we had to pause some of our other goals for the website and the organization because, like, literally the day we announced it, first of all, we didn't know it was being announced that day, and that was very funny. We put the announcement in the paper essentially, and they didn't tell us, okay, we're announcing it tomorrow. We were like, okay, I asked for Friday. They posted on Wednesday. But that day, like, we had, I think, like over 100 people subscribe to the website immediately in like an hour. And we had emails from people wanting to reach out and know more, and like, oh, we'd love to do something with you guys. So it's been like day by day figuring that out. I hope I answered that, sufficiently, but someone else can jump in.
No, I think you did a great job. Go ahead, Kealani. Go ahead, Kealani.
But I think for social media, all three of us are making posts for it. So Keala had some glitching happen with Instagram in the beginning. So she doesn't necessarily post it, but she helps create the graphics. And then Manuia also helps create the graphics. And Manuia is behind all of the translations into French. And it's been an interesting journey for her to to do that because of the way that French and English kind of clash or intersect.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't always easy to translate some terms, but it was interesting anyway. And it was important as well for us to provide the same services to French Pacific Islanders, as well. It was necessary, I think. If we could do it, so we had to do it.
Yeah, no, I think it's, again, it's like I said, it seems like you've really just come on the scene, but actually the lead up, all this work behind the scenes, you've been around for a while doing that hard work, doing that hard grind behind the scenes. So now you're seeing the fruits of that. Love to see it. And it's great. Like, even the French translation was like, oh, yeah, definitely getting that audience that, like you said, like making sure we're really reaching as many people as possible. That's so cool. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. I hope people are telling you that.
Thank you.
I hope people are telling you that. I want to go back to Keala, you mentioned Peak Reads. So let's shout out the Pacifica Entertainment Advancement Committee. Yeah, I had to look that up. I was like, Peak, what does that stand for? But shout out, you have a collab with them with this PI focused, Pacific Island focused book club. So you had the first, is that going to be like a monthly or every 2 months kind of situation? Pending?
We were talking about maybe a seasonal thing with Peak, one of the co-founders, who's one of our points of contact, I'll say. I feel like a spy with that. But she is actually the screenwriter for the upcoming Moana movie. The new Moana 2, Dana. And so when I congratulated her, she was like, now you know why I'm so busy. So we're gonna see and play it by ear, but we were thinking like seasonal. But yeah, it's pending.
Okay, so while on that pending note, let's just say if you are listening across the podcast platforms, if you're watching this on YouTube or seeing a snippet on like the social media platforms, check the bio of this podcast episode. It will tell you how to get in touch with Manuia, Kealani, and Keala, and follow their pages, follow their accounts, check out the website. Seriously, if you are not reading Pacific Island writers, or you've been afraid, you don't know where to go, this is where you start. Check out Pacific Islanders and Publishing Fam. You will not be disappointed. Like, all this hard work is slowly coming into fruition, and we love to see it. So if you can't buy the books, there's other ways. Share. There are ebooks. Let's get on board. Let's get on board and support. I have to know, the team is made up of the three of you, but is there a team behind the team?
No.
No, there's no
Definitely
team
no.
yet. Maybe one day we'll get to that, but we wanted to keep it close just because we have a very specific focus and vision for what we're doing. But we do rely on our Discord community, which I'm sure we'll get into. And so if we have questions for other Pacific Islander authors, we reach out to our different networks.
Yes, Discord community. While we're there, please tell me. Unfortunately, I don't know much. I know I probably sound silly, but I don't know much about Discord. So if you could please share about the Discord community, because it's quite a big one for you. So please go ahead. Discord.
So we started it with some of the changes that were happening on Twitter too, and also wanted to have a place where Pacific Islanders could gather in a private space to like connect with other authors and creators and ask questions about publishing. I think it was in 2022. And so with Discord, you can have multiple channels. It's kind of like a forum, but in an app. And you can have a voice channel, and you can set up different like areas. And so we have like multiple channels for people who are either looking for an agent, so you can ask questions in querying, you can ask questions or find solace if you're on submission. That's what happens after you find an agent in the publishing process, in the US at least. And so we also have, like, if people are looking for critique partners or beta readers, we have a channel where people can ask if people are available to read their work. We have a promo thing because we want to support PI. I would love the internet to be painted with PI books everywhere. So if someone has a release coming out, they can share it there, or, if they have anything they would like to promote on social media. And so we're hoping it grows more, but a reason we chose Discord is it's very easy to start a discussion, and you can interact with writers or creators of all levels. It's like, we have, I don't know if I should share who's in our Discord, but we have Malia Manuia in there, who's been great for, writers who are starting out. They can ask anything. We have Kealani in there, who has a book out as well and has a lot of experience. And so we've definitely seen this kind of mentorship role play out between more experienced, I'll say, members, and then, people who are newcomers to publishing and are like, hey, I really want to do this. And that was our goal, was to like take away make publishing more transparent.
Just real quick, I was wondering, just in the work so far and the journey thus far, like, are you coming across any of you, like, up and coming, like maybe writers just coming out of college, or even younger? Do you know what I mean? Like, up and coming writers. Are there many of us out there?
Yeah. We have a writer who just graduated or who is in a program right now, a MFA program, in our Discord. And there's a couple other people who I think are like early 20s in our Discord.
I'm so curious because I don't know much about Discord, but now I'm listening to you talk about it. I'm like, oh, do I need to get on this? I don't know. I can barely handle like the Instagram. Like, I'm struggling to do that, and the TikTok and the YouTube. Oh yeah,
you can mute it and come back and check it if it interrupts too much. So it's kind of nice. People can check it at their own pace. It's like a forum.
You're selling it really well, Keala. I'm coming.
I don't work for Discord.
I wanted to ask Manuia, just in terms of being an Aotearoa, like, do you come across a lot of up and coming, like, Maori, Pacific Island writers, or like just in the work that you do?
Not really, no. Unfortunately, that's something that I would love, but yeah, not really. Or maybe just in academia, like, I know a lot of researchers who've published. So there's that. But we've met not through writing, more like through, conferences and and research.
I wanted to ask about the publishing world. Having an agent and the so far you've met Kealani and Keala, you've mentioned some really great points about, being part of a publishing house, like getting on board, having an agent. How important is it, just with your experiences thus far, to have an agent, or have representation?
I think it really depends on your goals as a creator or writer. If you want to be traditionally published in the US or United Kingdom, then you probably need an agent. We highly recommend it. But if your goal is to sign with, let's say, a small publisher or a university publisher in Aotearoa or Australia or Hawaii, then you probably don't need to sign with an agent. Obviously, if you want to self-publish, you don't need an agent either. But I think Kealani and Keala can probably tell you more about this, because they do have agents and publishers.
For me, it was important for me to sign with an agent just because I didn't want to do a lot of the work that you have to do if you don't have an agent. I really wanted to focus on writing and then social media work. So my agent takes care of sending my book out to publishers. And if I ever need something to get communicated to my publisher, then she takes care of the communication too. So that's the nice thing about having an agent, is that they take a lot of the workload off of you, and they get paid on whenever I get paid, then my agent gets paid too. She takes about 15%. But yeah, just like Manuia said, it really just depends. You don't always need an agent. It just depends on what your goals are.
Yeah, depending on what journey you want to take. There are a lot of Pacific Islanders who've had a lot of success in the self-publishing area, and that's why we made sure to highlight them on our website as well, like Hua Parker, others as well. And so, it really depends on what journey you want. With representation, something that's important to consider is an agent basically represents your work, your literary work, and that can open a lot of doors. Like, some agencies have film agents that they reach out to or work with, who will then help get your work in front of Hollywood, basically, and you can get your work optioned to get it into a film, miniseries. Very hard to do, but that's sometimes what an agency offers. If your book gets big enough, you might be approached on your own, but just having an agent to look at all the business side of it so you can be focused on writing is really nice. But there are people who have that business aptitude, who can do it all, who can do self-publishing. It's just, what are you looking for in your career? And and what benefits an agency offers. And there's definitely red flags to watch out for. With some agencies, you want to make sure they're vetted, and that they can actually open those doors for you, because there are what we call smagents in the US. I'm sure they're in the UK too. I don't want to generalize, but you'll want to do your research. And one of the things you'll ask yourself is, what do you want your book? How far do you want your book to go? What type of representation you want, like, again, film, etc., foreign rights, to get it to other countries. So that's all the stuff an agent could help handle for you.
Thank you for sharing. I've always been so curious, and it's so nice to hear from the experiences of writers who do have an agent, because I've had people on the show who are mostly self-published, some of them, and so it's nice to hear like different perspectives. So thank you so much for sharing. I was wondering then, in the putting this database together, the work that you're doing, are there a lot of self-publishing writers out there, or are you coming across others who do have agents, who are with a publishing house? What are the numbers looking like? Okay.
Off the top of my head, I think, would you say like 10 of us have agents?
More than that.
More
Maybe
than that?
like quarter, like 25.
Like 25? Yeah. There's quite a few that are agented, and then there's quite a few that are self-publishing, and everyone's just on their different journeys. It's really amazing to read everybody's different experiences. Yeah, it just depends, but we do see a lot in both worlds.
And also on our website, we also have people who have published with small presses or independent presses. And in the US and the UK, I'm guessing, I'm not as familiar with it, you do need to have an agent to solicit the big five publishers, as they're called, but you sometimes don't need that for a smaller press or an independent press. And so there are quite a few on our website who've gone an independent press way. So
it's different in Aotearoa in Australia, probably. Some people have agents and others don't. And I know that for Penguin, New Zealand, for example, you don't need an agent to submit your manuscript. But it's probably a good thing to have an agent, though, to help you negotiate your contract and stuff like that. But, well, unless you know that that side of the business, but that's a difference with the United States and the United Kingdom and some parts of the Pacific.
Again, with all this work that you're doing, how difficult is it to find Pacific Island writers? I mean, there are many layers to that question. What I mean is, like, social media, website, like how, like, I know we are out there. I know that, but how difficult is it to find our writers? What are some of the barriers?
It's really hard. I'll lead with that it's really hard. When Manuia and I go and look for our writers and our books, we just have a running list. And whenever we come across somebody in social media or online somewhere, then we just add them to our list. And as we add people, we have to go into Google and search their name, figure out if they are of Pacific Islander descent. And if they are of Pacific Islander descent, which nation or island group do they represent? And yeah, it's pretty difficult to find. It takes us months to be able to figure out who's who and what they're doing in order to compile a book list.
Yes, and I would add to that for many publishers, especially I'm not talking about the big five in the United States because they have their publicists, but in Oceania, for most publishers, we hear about a new book almost when it comes out. So these books are rarely or not often announced before they're published. And I suppose that librarians and booksellers have their own networks that allows them to know about the publications before it happens, but we don't really. So we rely a lot on our own network. But it would definitely make our job easier if we had that kind of resources. Again, I'm not sure if it even exists. I'm just, wondering if something like that exists for, booksellers, librarians. Do they know about forthcoming books? We're not sure.
If there are any librarians listening, tuning in, we need to know. How do we make this work easier for these Pacific Island women that I have on the show today who are doing this amazing advocacy work? Help us out. Yeah, I mean, okay, the reason I asked that question is because I feel like when I come across like a new writer, like if I've not seen it through any of you, but or anyone that I'm connected to, the first thing I do is, yeah, are they with a publishing house? Do they have a website? Are they on Instagram? Okay, so that's kind of like, okay, they're on Instagram. I've come across their book. Are they on TikTok? Like, what other social media platforms are they using? And a lot of the times, authors I've come across don't necessarily have a website, or they're not really on Instagram. But if they are, it's a personal page as opposed to like a professional, like a writer's platform. Do you know what I mean? So it's really frustrating, but I also get it. Like, people just don't have time unless they have someone doing that for them who's helping to really push their work out there. I wish all our Pacific Island writers would just create one social media page just for readers to. That's just me being a selfish reader, bookstagrammer. You know what I mean? Like, but I would love for all of our writers just to create a writer's page. They don't have to update it, every day or every week, but just to put their work there so that readers can find it through hashtags and stuff like that. I'm a hashtag person. So that's how I find some people, is through hashtags, like on Twitter. I refuse to call it. I'm coming to Discord. Okay. Get a grip, Rossa. Get a grip. Yeah, so no, I appreciate your sharing. Are you seeing trends? Do you look at that type of stuff, like analytics and trends, in terms of, as you're out there researching, doing all this work, are you seeing trends in terms of perhaps more book releases, more middle grade books coming, or more bilingual, like language learning books, or more picture books, more YA? Are there enough of us out there that we're able to see trends like that? Or am I just trying to give you extra work here? I really am not. I'm curious, like in terms of the research you're doing. Yeah.
So I can answer that one, and it's only my opinion. All right. For me, there are a lot of poetry collections being published by Pacific Islanders, and nonfiction books as well. Like I said before, researchers publishing their work, and adult fiction as well, and some picture books. But I feel like we don't see as many young adult or middle grade novels written by Pacific Islanders. At least that's my feeling. And Keala and Kealani can tell us about what they notice. But for me, there are not a lot of young adult and middle grade novels.
Yeah, I feel the same. I come across a lot more in academia than I do in mainstream publishing. So I would love to see more middle grade, young adult, even genre fiction. I feel like in Aotearoa, there's more adult fiction than we do have in the US. In the US, there isn't as many Pacific Islander adult fiction books being published.
I'm not sure if this is a trend to add to that, but like, it's kind of hard to find Pacific Islander books in the US that don't have something explicitly to do with identity or with a certain like look or aesthetic that people assume is like Pacific Islander. Like, not just, getting into the fact that the predominant image of a Pacific Islander is often Polynesian. Like, it's really hard to find books where you maybe have like in YA or middle grade, someone who just happens to be Pacific Islander going on in a journey that doesn't take place maybe in the islands or at home, that isn't like coded a certain way, to put it. I don't know if Kealani and Manuia agree, but like I want to just read about like a rom-com with the Pacific Islander
I agree.
or man.
I agree.
Or, I would love a queer rom-com. And I feel like they want to see Pacific Islanders in a certain way, possibly. It's not like apparent to them that market is out there.
Yeah, I would love to see a Pacific Islander historical fantasy, for example, or dystopia.
Kealani, do you want to add to that, or
No, I just agree. We've had this conversation before offline, but that I would just want to see our people doing normal everyday things like we do in our regular lives. Because when I see our teenagers reading and our tweens reading, they're reading books about kids just doing normal kid things, and that's what I really want to see too.
Since launching Pacific Islanders in publishing, how does it feel when people reach out to you, like new connections, not these are the people I've known for a while, but are you coming across more and more people that, hey, first time networking and connecting, Pacific Island writers or creatives?
It feels like a family coming together.
I agree with
We're
that.
so happy to have people reach out to us. It's so nice.
Yeah, in our Discord, there's just a lot of love going on. Whenever somebody new joins our community, it's very organic. So people within our community, if they hear about another Pacific Islander writer, they just tell them, "Hey, here's the Discord," and they send them the link. And so when they introduce themselves, everybody's very excited.
I love when it happens that if they happen to be from the same island or same community, it's like, oh, whereabout are you? And then you find out how interconnected everyone's lives are. It's just very nice. Like what Manuia said, it feels like a family coming together. And I get like pep in my step every time someone joins. I'm like, this is why we did it. Makes my day.
What would you like people to do? What part should we play, or just readers in general, in terms of, like raising awareness or highlighting our writers? Like, obviously there's a lot of behind the scenes work that you do, but what can other people do to help get the word out about our writers, our books?
There's things you can do where you pay, and there's free things. So of course the number one thing is to buy the books, because that always, whether they're traditionally published or self-published, that always helps the author the most, is to buy the books. Another thing that's really important is to write reviews. So on Goodreads, on Amazon, or anywhere where they take reviews, it's really important that authors have reviews, because the algorithm likes when things have stars and reviews on them. And then the other thing, of course, is to share the work with other people.
Yeah. Talk about it. Support authors any way you can. You can also ask your library to buy Pacific Islander books. You can suggest those books. When you read a book about, that's been written by a Pacific Islander, and you're on Twitter and you can share that book, right? You can talk about it. That's great. That's already helping a lot.
Here you go. If you are watching, if you are listening, we can all do our part. That's what I believe. We can all do our part in this work, and advocating for, and just putting the spotlight on our wonderful writers, because they're out there. We have 3 right here. Fangirling. And then authors, speaking to the writers themselves, what should they be doing to put themselves out there?
Read as much as you can. Find out about your market, if that's something, like, even if you want to self-publish, even if you want to go to an independent press, read as much as you can in your genre so you know where the pulse of it is. There are so many talented writers out there, but you don't want your work to feel dated. And that doesn't mean it has to be full of slang or anything. It's just, you want your concepts to feel fresh, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the newest idea. It doesn't have, there's no new ideas under the sun, but know your voice and work on honing it, and then know where your voice would fit in the market. Even if that's self-publishing, look at the books you like that are doing well on those platforms, And then if you do decide to pursue an agent, do your research. There's so much information out there. Just Google. I know Google's less good now, but if you Google querying advice, so much will come up. Like, it will be hard to pick through all of them, but hopefully we'll have more resources on our website as well. But join a community too. That will help keep you in the loop. Kind of all over the place, but those are all the ideas that immediately come to mind.
For me, I think the biggest thing that authors need to know is to be patient. Some people just are trigger happy and just want to, oh, I wrote this. It's a first draft. Let me hurry up and publish it. But you don't have to hurry up and publish it. Publishing is very, very slow. You can take your time and work through and hone your craft, just like Keala was talking about. It's very important that the things that we're publishing are high quality. We don't want to just put things out there just to put it out there, but to have things that are high quality and take the time that you need. Don't worry about trying to hurry and rush and publish things. Just be patient. And then in terms of marketing your book, just do whatever you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with going on TikTok, then don't go on TikTok. If you're not comfortable with showing your face, don't show your face. As an author, you can choose how much you want to give and how much you don't want to give.
I have something else I'd love to add to that too. With honing your craft and like waiting, publishing is a very long game. Like, even if you were to sell your book today, it probably won't come out for a year and a half or 2 years. That's how long it takes in the US, I should say. But something my new agent says, and I really liked this, the saying she has is, I'd asked her before signing with her, what happens if I write a book you don't like or something? And she's like, I actually don't believe in likability. I believe work is early. If it's not, doing its job, it's just too early. And so, you sent it out too early. And that's a common mistake I see with new writers is they're in a rush to, get going. And they're just caught up in the moment. And so really taking a second to evaluate it and like, don't rush it,
I feel like for the longest time I was waiting for 2024. So for podcast followers, that Kealani has been on the show before. She's Little Pacifica Readers on social media platforms. And for the longest time I was like, oh my God, 2024 is so far away. And now it's 2024. Your book is dropping soon, Kealani. Like, Tala Learns to Siva. How are you? Are you okay? Are you still being patient? Are you super excited? We're so close. Oh, so close. I cannot believe it. How are you doing as you wait for this book to drop?
I know. I didn't realize it was so soon. I actually thought I had like 5 to 6 months left, and I just didn't realize that it was so soon. And then I started counting the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, there is only 3 months. I better hurry up and start doing stuff. But Scholastic has been really great in pushing my book out there. So they're doing a lot of the marketing work for me. And that was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to go with a publisher instead of self-publishing, because I'm just not that great at marketing. So they're doing a lot of that for me. And I'm working on setting up events in Hawaii. I'm not going to do a lot of events just because I'm going to be really busy this summer with other things. But it's exciting. I'm nervous, but excited at the same time.
I think we're all excited. It's just, 2024. I honestly was just like, I'm so impatient, but now we're here and oh, so close. So congrats. I'm so proud of you just for, hanging in there. Manuia, I also saw you tweet about the main character of a piece of work that you're working on is the main character's name is Moana. And like, how has that been for you as you're on social media and watching her just being amazing, like Miss Samoa out there doing her thing? You have a character, no, coincidence, of course, a character with the same name. Yeah. How has it been?
It's such a big coincidence, but when I saw that, I was so happy because I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is so great." My main character's name are like just like her. She's amazing. So yeah, it's really nice.
And in terms of the work, what you're working on, your writing, can we expect? Do you have any news, or how far along in the process are you? Or
I'm currently revising. I'm in the last stages of revision, a big revision, and I'm planning to send it back to agents soon. Yeah.
congrats! That's so exciting. That's exciting. Oh, look at you three. You thought I forgot about you, Keala, but I haven't. I'm coming to you. Our post-colonial horror novel, your fourth book. Are you hearing this, everyone? Fourth book. Tell us. I know you can't talk about it, but
That's actually a different book. The unannounced
Ooh.
book I mentioned is a different one, but I honestly cannot talk about that. Very serious NDA. Very serious. Like,
okay.
I always worry there's a sniper coming for me or something. Like, if I even think about it out loud. But yeah, with the horror novel though, that is the book that I just signed with my agent, and hopefully we got on submission. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, submissions when you take it to editors, and your agent will handle that. It's a lot like querying, but now the agent does all the email and handles that. And we already have editorial interest in that book, and soon ripe, soon rotten. But I'm very excited for it. I'm crossing my fingers that it does well. But the other book, I'm hoping there's news soon for the unannounced one. That's
nice.
I can say. It
That's
would be my
okay.
debut, my YA debut. So that's all I will say.
Congratulations. Woo-hoo. I mean, all three of you. I mean, I know. I'm like, get a grip, but it's just so exciting to, like, I have so many questions, but we're like, no, people are busy. They do not have time for this, Lossa. Calm down. Okay, so again, congratulations to all three of you, just with the current works and soon to drop Kealani's picture book. Yay! I want to bring us back to Pacific Islanders and publishing. I know what have been some of the challenges? You've mentioned some of the challenges so far, but what have been some of the highlights aside from meeting online, meeting new people, building the Discord community? What have been some other highlights that you can point out in this difficult work that you're doing? Advocacy work is not easy.
I think for me, some of the highlights have been finding books written by people who live in Melanesia or Micronesia, because they are the least published amongst all the Pacific Islanders. Mostly the people who are published are Polynesian. And so it's been really exciting to find books written by people in like Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, or Kiribati. And that's been the highlight for me.
It's the same for me, because I'm so happy when I discover new Pacifica voices, new Pacific Islander writers. It's really so exciting to read their bio and add them on our list, and discover what they've written, what book they've published. It's really nice, because we're readers. We're not just writers, so we're excited about all the books.
To add to that, something that has really excited me about us starting this organization is how necessary other people have seen it to be. Like I said, we had quite the welcome, and a lot of people wanted to collaborate with us early on. Some of those collaborations haven't been seen yet, and we can't talk about them yet. But it's just been really exciting to see that people do think this is necessary, even if they don't know where to start. We get emails, I would say regularly, from people who are like, how can I help? This is something I've been like, holding my fist up to the sky about too. I want to see more PI books. And so it's just been nice to see that reception. And yeah, it's just really nice to see that. And it's great to know you're wanted.
Yeah, I think that important part is I'm glad you said that, because yes, the work that your collective, your organization, Pacific Islanders in Publishing, the work you're doing is important and it's necessary. Do you know what I mean? So you can only go upwards from here. Like I don't see it as like fading out kind of thing. Like there is a need, and like I say, it's advocacy work. And advocacy work can be overwhelming, it can be tiring, but there are also so many highs that come with it, so many joys. So I just, encourage you to just keep going. I love it. We love to see it. We love to put you on blast. And even though it's early days, but I know this, like I've said throughout the podcast, if you're listening, if you're watching, this is not something that just happened overnight. People need to understand that this is work that you've been building up to this. So, keep going. I mean, you all come to this organization with your own respective platforms, right? And I'm wondering, has launching Pacific Islanders in Publishing, has it pushed you even more out of your comfort zone? Why are you laughing? Is that a yes?
Yeah, Kealani's been in a TikTok reel seen by 30,000 people. What was it?
I think we're all three of us can be introverted at times. So it does put us out of our comfort zones to be emailing people. Or another thing that's kind of uncomfortable for us are the graphics. So, but it does help us to be able to become better writers and creators in general.
We do all our graphics in-house.
Nothing wrong with that. In-house, we're here for that. We no judgments. As we begin to wrap up, I want to again just say to everyone, check the bio, get on board, support these wonderful, amazing, strong women, Pacific Island women that we have here on the show today. Like, you will not be disappointed. You're probably going to discover a whole lot of books that you didn't even know existed, as well as writers, authors. And if you ask someone that is looking to get into publishing, or is trying to get an agent, or is trying to find some kind of direction in terms of your writing journey, get on board, join the Discord community. All the links will be in the bio, fam. So you can't go wrong. Before we wrap up, are there any book recommendations? I know you shared what you're currently reading, but is there anything you want to throw out there and plug? Anything in particular?
Well, Kealani Netane's books and Keala Kendall's books as well. They're coming soon. And personally, I would recommend as well Celestine Vaite's books. I love her books. And Emanike's poetry and books as well. Teresia Teaiwa. Alice Tepunga Somerville. Oh, you have to stop me.
We're not stopping you. I am not stopping you, Manuia. I want you to go on and on. Then people will be hearing this for the first time going, huh? What? I love it.
Okay, then I'm going to add
yes, please.
A thriller Maori, who writes thrillers, and Vanda Simon. Who else? No, really, you have to stop me.
Yes, we love Vanda Simon. We love Alice. I mean, they've been guests on the show. And I have to say, before I ask Kealani and Keala if they have some recommendations, I also just want to say, just thank you to the three of you for coming on, because I think initially I kind of reached out and said, could one of you come on and talk about it? I was like, we need to put you on blast. And it's never easy coming into a space, and talking about yourself and this wonderful work. A lot of us don't want to toot your horn, or you don't want to, but it was so important to bring you three on here and say, hey, everyone, look at this amazing work that's been done, important, necessary work. So when all three of you said you were coming on. I was like, what? And then I started panicking. I was like, Manuia's coming on this. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I mean, because Kealani and I, we can just talk forever and ever, but just the fact that you took the time and said, hey, we're going to come on as a team, as a collective, as a family, as an organization, like that is super important as well. So Kealani and Keala, any books you want to push or plug before we wrap up?
I'll go first. I'm worried Kealani will take mine. I haven't read it yet, but I am very excited about Dragon Fruit by Makia Luce. I don't know if it's Lucia. I'll ask her when I see her. But I just think the cover is gorgeous. It sounds so good. I wish I could like show it. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. It's a YA fantasy, and it just sounds really good.
I have 3 books that I'm thinking of. I've been really into poetry and nonfiction books. So one that I read recently that I absolutely loved was Aina Hanau Birthland by Brandy Nalani McDougall. She is Hawaii's poet how do you say that? Laureate. The other poetry book that I loved is Craig Santos Perez's Amat, and he just won the National Poetry Award. It's like so prestigious. He had to wear a whole tux and everything. Yeah, so that book was really good. I bought that one. And then a book that's coming out this year is a middle grade book called Clairvoyance by Christiana Kahakovila. I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about this, but it looks so cute. It's just a girl who wants to know the thoughts of boys. And so she gets that wish granted. And I'm really excited about that. I think it takes place on the North Shore of Oahu, if I remember correctly.
Thank you for that. We'll look out for that. And I will. I know you mentioned, all of you mentioned books at the beginning, and we'll put that on here so that people can see the covers. But yeah, exciting. Well, I could go on, but I know it's we're all in different time zones, so we will wrap it up. I just, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Keep doing the work that you're doing and keep growing. And yeah, just thank you for the inspiration and just the empowering advocacy work that you're doing out in the communities, making connections, telling us readers about new authors, new writers, new books coming. Like it's always exciting when I see Kealani's, when she's not around for ages, I'm like, I hope she's all right. And then suddenly she drops a post and I'm like, oh, she's okay. Okay, she's alive and well. She was just living her life. Now, Little Pacifica Readers is back to give us some more book recs. So just so you all know, like, we see you and absolutely love it. And I just encourage you just to keep going. Yeah, just, be safe out there. Look after yourselves in your respective parts of the world. I will hand it over to you, each of you, just share some final words as we wrap up the show.
I just want to say thank you so much for having us, Russell. At least for me, I always listen to your podcast and I love hearing your voice and your laughter. It always brings such joy to my life. And then I just really love your advocacy for Pacific Islander writers. You're always putting people on and you do such great work too here.
Yes, mauru roa to you. And yes, thank you for all the work you're doing as well. You're doing exactly the same thing that we do on your podcast, and it's really important too. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's funny to hear you were nervous to have us because we're so honored to be here. And yeah, no, it's been great, and we appreciate your advocacy. I think you're on the website under the influencers tab, so we're very excited to be here and appreciate everything.
I was really shocked because actually when I first came, when I was like, oh my God, it's live there. There's a website. And then I was like, oh, looking at all the tabs, and I went, scroll. Huh? Wozers, text my friend. Oh my God, I'm on this website. I don't know why, but okay. She was like, what? Sent the link. And she's my very good friend. She's our teacher librarian for middle and high school. She was like, this is huge. I was like, they're huge. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways, that's the story. I appreciate it. I was just like, what? This is insane. Anyways, yeah.